Let's now shift our attention to the other big story that we are tracking on WION, and this, of course, has got to do with Donald Trump, who's all set to sign an executive order on shutting down the Department of Education. Now, the order is one of Donald Trump's campaign promises. In a short while from now, the Republican leader will sign the order and will direct the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, to implement the shutdown of the Department of Education. Now, the White House memo reads, and I quote, "The order mandates that any program or any activities receiving the remaining Department of Education funds should not advance DEI or gender ideology." While Donald Trump and also his billionaire loyalist Elon Musk have undertaken the task to shut down many institutions and programs, the Department of Education is the first cabinet-level department that will be shut down. But before Trump even signs the executive order, there is a legal hurdle for the administration already. The Democrat state attorneys have already filed a lawsuit seeking a block to the president's executive order. Many critics and civil rights groups have slammed the administration's move as unconstitutional. The rights activists say that dismantling the Department of Education will adversely affect thousands of children who rely on federal funding for quality education. However, the Trump administration says that dismantling the Department of Education will now ensure that the power is decentralized to the states. However, the White House has clarified that shutting down the Department of Education will not alter the federal funding that is available for the students with disabilities and children from low-income households. It's also important to note that Trump signing the executive order does not guarantee that the Department of Education will be dismantled immediately. Given that it is a federal department, shutting it down will require congressional approval. In the Senate, a clear two-thirds majority vote is required to implement this order. All right, now to give us more updates on this, we're joined by our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us live from New York. Susan, this is as bizarre as it can get. The Department of Education in the United States of America is to be shut down with an executive order of the president. Help us make sense as to why Donald Trump wants to shut down the Department of Education in the United States.
So despite massive funding, the Department of Education has for decades now underperformed, and American students are constantly falling behind compared to other countries. Taxpayer money is going in, grants and budgets are going in, but what's coming out of the Department of Education and their curriculum is not delivering for the amount of resources that's being allocated to. So you have people in the higher up getting, 6-7-figure salaries. You have teachers retiring with benefits, but then the students, for example, in Chicago, the latest poll indicate that 11th grade students under 30% can read at grade level. Only 15% were able to do normal math. That's one aspect of it. Another is really rampant bureaucracy, and then the way the Department of Education has been handling student loans. So, while Donald Trump says that he wants to shut it down altogether, and it's not that it would just get shut down, then the Department of Education would go to the states. Each state would have allocated funds to decide how it wants to move forward. So basically making the federal government smaller and giving all of these powers to the states. Can he do that? He can with an executive order, but ultimately to abolish the Department of Education, Congress would have to get involved. Ultimately that's going to take a lot more time than, just putting the Department of Education away. But one thing is for sure, that it's on notice right now, and there has to be massive changes.
All right, interesting. We'll have to see as to how this plays out. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with those details there.